Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. We are very happy to be here today because I'm not only the member of Scholarly Communication Research Group, but also I'm the biggest fan of Science and Semi-Peripheries seminar series because I learned a lot of things from this seminar series. We consider this subject is important because we attended last month's seminar that was Federico and Nerina's presentation, and we realized that there are many similarities between Turkish tenure and incentive systems and Latin American. The main reason is that we all copy our systems from central countries, and we have the similar problems because we copy from them. We have to learn from our experiences. So I think sharing our shortcomings, sharing our consequences is important to understand what is the problems of using central countries' methods to evaluate science. So we create a presentation for you to explain how tenure and incentive systems in Turkey works and what are their shortcomings and what are we facing with. Who are we? I am Zehra. I am working as an associate professor at Hacettepe University with Güleda. Güleda is also an associate professor. I will present what is the meaning of being associate professor in Turkey. And I'm also the Master of Rainbows in Scholarly Communication Research Group. It's the name given by Christian because of the visualization I made. I'm a researcher at Scholarly Communication Research Group. For warming up, I want to explain the system, the university system of Turkey. We have more than 200 universities in Turkey. Most of them are public universities. It means they belong to the government, and their fundings and budgets are coming from the government. And 78 of them are foundational universities. We call them private universities because they have their budgets from the foundations and the students and so on. They are known as foundational universities. All the universities are under the roof of Higher Education Council. This is the discussion for many years because all the management of these universities, strategic planning and coordination of all the universities belongs to the Higher Education Council. And what we are talking currently in Turkish higher education system, we always talk about academic autonomy because of the Higher Education Council, but on the other side, we are talking about scientific merit, nepotism, the promotion method of rectors because there is no election. Government, president identify the rectors of the universities. The role of Higher Education Council in the academia is important. And on the other side, scarcity of research funds and academic positions are a problem. Also, the academic salaries are problematic because we are facing with a big economic crisis in Turkey, and academic salaries is getting worse and worse. So this is the current debate of Turkish academia recently. What about the tenure system? I have a timeline for a tenure system in Turkey. What can an early career researcher do to be an academic? There are two ways of it. There is a research assistant position for all the universities. The positions are scarce. So, for example, in my department, we got the latest research assistant 10 years ago, and now this year one will come. But this tenure is valid, and this is a temporary contract. University requests a position from Higher Education Council. Higher Education Council approves it. Vacancy published by a university's website, and there is a written or oral exams. It is a discussion for many years because if it depends on the oral exams, it is possible to hire someone you want. So it is problematic process to hire research assistants in Turkey. GPA is important. Language score, English language score is considered during this process. And being a graduate student, to be a research assistant, being a graduate student, master or doctoral students is often obligatory. You have to be a student to be accepted as a research assistant. And the other option is to be a PhD scholar or postdoctoral scholar, but it is almost impossible because only one funding agency give this kind of funds to scholars. It is called the Scientific and Technological Research Council. You have to write a project proposal, or you have to be a scholarship holder for a ongoing project, and you can get the position in the projects. But the salaries are so low, and this is somehow problematic too. If you ask me about the academic positions, when you finish your PhD, for some universities, you have to publish a paper or a book chapter to finish your PhD. But if you finish your PhD, you can get an assistant professor position. It is also a temporary contract, 1 to 3 years. The same system is valid for here too. University requests a position, Higher Education Council approves, and it is published in the website. Each university has their own criteria. For example, my university has high criteria. I have to publish quartile 1, quartile 2 papers in Web of Science, but for the other universities, they are a bit lower. Additional criteria indicating specific person is possible. For example, we can see this kind of additional criteria in the vacancy news. It's like we are looking for a person who finished his or her PhD thesis under the subject of content-based citation analysis. No one can apply to this position. I can. This kind of additional criteria is possible for these positions. After getting the assistant professor position, or after finishing your PhD degree, you can get your associate professor title from Higher Education Council. But this is a title, not a position. This is like PhD. If you see some users on Twitter using docent Dr. Zehra Taşkın, it means they have associate professor title from the Higher Education Council, and it is kind of prestige indicator for Turkish academics. It does not guarantee the position. The criteria is defined by Higher Education Council, and researchers with PhD can submit their applications. There are some criteria. I will show some problematic criteria of associate professor titles. But if you want to get the position, it is the first permanent position. You have to apply for your university. Higher Education Council has to approve your position, and each university's criteria is different. Additional criteria is also possible. But I have to mention that criteria is, yes, there are many criteria, but after creating your portfolio, you should, your portfolio are evaluated by 5 different experts from your field. So there is a panel evaluation, but at first you have to meet the criteria. And the professorship, this is a very permanent position for Turkey. 5 years after associate professorship, you can apply for it. Each university determines their own criteria. Expectations are very low. And for example, if I get my professorship at my 40s, I do not have to publish anything. There is no performance evaluation methods for professors. So I use this term so much. Once a professor, always a professor in Turkey. there is no evaluation for after the professor title. What are the problems of tenure system? The evaluating panel members are a real gatekeepers, because sometimes we can get interesting evaluation panel reports. The problematic pointing system is obvious because, for example, if I write a paper with 10 different authors from 10 different countries, I can get 0.5 points from the system. But if I publish a book review in a predatory journal, it is 5 points. So there are many problems in the pointing system, but I want to focus on 5 important problems. The most important one is disciplinary differences. The system says that the associate professorship title criteria are for 12 different fields, but we cannot see any big differences between fields. All the fields expect to publish as much as you can. So we need more disciplinary focus for the criteria. The second one is conceptualization. There is no definition of what the international publisher is. The system asks us to publish books in an international publisher, but no definition of international publisher, or no definition for field index. The system says you should publish a paper in WOS or field indexes. And we are discussing what is field index. Is it Library and Information Science abstract or emerging sources citation index? We need some conceptualization for research evaluation systems. There are many ORs in the system. For example, you can publish 1 article or 2 book review, or. There are many ORs in the system. It is good for diversity, but the point, because there are many problems in the pointing system, so this replaceable criteria creates some confusion, and researchers want to publish as much as they, as fast as they can. So these ORs are problem for Turkish system. One of the main problem is obligations, because 3 articles in local journals are an obligation. It is for supporting multilingualism in science, but it is not like that. You are asking for physics physics scholar working in the United States or any other countries. They are working interdisciplinary, and they are publishing papers with the interdisciplinary network. So if you propose this as an obligation, it makes national literature a bit garbage, because the quality of papers in the local journals are so low because of this obligation in our higher education system. For example, the other obligation is giving lecture in the university. If you don't have a position in your university, you don't have right to give lecture. So this limits the boundaries of the academia, I think. So the obligations are main problems of our system. And all our systems support single authorship. If I publish a paper with 10 authors, my point divide into 10. And you can see the reviewer reports like that. She never works alone, so she is not capable of publishing papers alone, like this. This is very bad for collaborations between researchers, and this limits the academic outputs. This is my idea. What are the consequences of current academic system? This figure is from my student's thesis. He will defend his thesis in June 20. This 0 line indicating the date of publishing year of predatory article. And you can see the career points of the scholars, of 425 scholars. You can see that they publish their predatory papers just before their associate professorship. There is 6 months between publishing the predatory article and getting the tenure. Turkish scholars publish papers to get tenures, and then we investigate after the tenure, they turn to normal. Their publishing speed turning normal, but until they get the tenure, we can see many publications in predatory journals. So the reason of bad scientific practices are not predatory publishing. The reason is research performance evaluation systems in some countries. What is the other consequence? Our system favors English, but an article on Web of Science is equal to 20 points. An article on local journals is 4 to 8 points, but at least 3 articles in local journals obligatory. What is the result? Scholars write their high-quality paper research to Web of Science journals. If they reject it, they send their low-quality articles to local journals, and there are many thousands of English language articles in local journals because no conceptualization in what is national, what is international. We just looking at this journal published in Turkey, so it is national. No, there is no conceptualization about journals' origins or types. And the other consequence of favoring English is, for example, Turkish judicial system based on Swiss, German, French legal codes, and German and French is important for the academia. Also, Turkish is so important for local research, but it is expected that our law professors or scholars should publish English language articles in indexed journals. So the result is decontextualized, locally relevant research that nobody cares. This is the consequence of current tenure system. When I say that many bad things, I want to say something good. Everything is not bad. After seeing Federico and Nerina's presentation, I realized that we have very similar researcher classification system in Turkey. This is very accurate and updated system because we submit our all applications using this system. For example, if I want to get the tenure, or if I want to get the incentive from the Higher Education Council, I have to create my profile in this system. How it is working? This is my profile in the system. There's an English page for it. You can check it. You can see my all outputs, my the supervised thesis, awards, my positions, all my experiences here. And you can also see the co-authors. This is the researcher profiling system, and this works very well. And maybe we can consider this system as a researcher categorization system of Turkey. This is very good, but the problem is, I like saying problems, we have similar systems. We have many similar systems in my university, institutional repository, funding agency system, and there is no they are not working interoperable. It means we have to create profiles of ourselves in every systems. So it is the problem. It is very time-consuming job, and this is the bad things about a good practice. This is my part, and Güleda will say something about the incentive system.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for attending this session. I find it important to know what is going on in other countries, as Zehra said, and I will talk about the incentive systems in Turkey. In Turkey, we have 2 main incentive systems. First one is the incentive program for international scientific publication, which we call UBYT in Turkey. When I say UBYT, please remember that I refer to Program for International Scientific Publication. This program is offered by Scientific and Research Council of Turkey, shortly we say again TÜBİTAK. And the second important or the second main incentive system I will talk about today is the academic incentive system, which is a bit newer than the other. And this incentive system is offered by Higher Education Council of Turkey. These two incentive systems aim to increase the number of Turkey addressed publications. And for this aim, they are providing or they are paying money to researchers as an incentive tool or as a reward of publication. And it is important to understand how these two systems work, whether they are effective or not. How can we evaluate them, how they affect academic publishing behaviors in Turkey, and whether they have any drawbacks or not. First of all, I want to give a brief information about this system, both systems. The UBYT started in 1993 and originally it focused on positive sciences. Later in 2006, it expanded to include social sciences, arts, and humanities. And under this incentive program, the Scientific and Research Council of Turkey gives financial support to authors who publish Turkey-addressed papers in internationally recognized journals. They define internationally recognized journals as the journals indexed in three core indexes of Web of Science. As we all know, Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index, and Arts and Humanities Citation Index. And currently, the main measure, the main indicator used in UBYT is article influence score. But I should note that the measure and the indicator or the calculation method changes in every 2 or 3 years. So the list is also changes. The journal list is also changes. The payments are also changes. The amount of money provided through UBYT ranks between 1,500 Turkish liras to 30,000 Turkish liras. This mean it changes between 70 and 1,400 euros. And to have an idea, 30,000 Turkish liras is an average monthly salary for an academician in Turkey. It is also important to note that in the field of social science and humanities, for the journals listed in Arts and Humanities Citation Index of both, you receive a fixed amount of 3,000 Turkish liras. This is because of the impact factor issues. And it is also worth mentioning that the money provided by UBYT incentive system is shared among the co-authors of papers with multiple authors. And this sharing is based on the number of co-authors. And additionally, researchers can use UBYT multiple times in a year. There is no limit for the top tier journals, but for the other journals that is not top tier or that's not called as top tier, it is limited to 15,000 Turkish liras. And what about the academic incentive system. Academic incentive system, we can say that is a new one in compared to UBYT. And academic incentive system was introduced by the Higher Education Council of Turkey in 2015 and has a broader approach. It is not only focused on one type of publication or only one database like in UBYT. This incentive system aims to reward academic staff by giving them an annual or a monthly bonus in addition to their salaries. And here, please note that only the academicians working in public universities have the opportunity to utilize from this incentive system. So if you are working in a foundation or a private university, you cannot have the chance to get a incentive using this system. And every January, academicians need to report all their scientific activities from the previous year. This includes projects, research papers, articles for the arts and humanities, designs, exhibitions, and patents. You also report your citations, proceedings, and awards. And the academic incentive system use a point-based calculation method. Each activity title has a maximum of 30 points, and the total point limit is 100 points. For example, there's a title for citations, and the maximum points you can get from this title, from your citations from the previous year, is limited to 30 points. This is same for all other titles. And in addition, your position is important, as Zehra said about the positions or titles. These are all important to calculate the amount of incentive you will take during the year. And the specific amount of bonus or incentive received is determined based on your position in the academic hierarchy. And it is also important to know that scholars who fail to collect a minimum of 30 points are not eligible to receive any support through this system. To give you an idea about the amount of incentives, I have an example. For example, if you get about 50 points, you are paid around 1.5 Turkish liras monthly. So this is the average incentive you will take. And for evaluating publications within the academic incentive system, journal quartiles are used as indicators of journal quality, unfortunately. And similar to the first system, which is called UBYT, if papers you published have multiple authors, the total points of that paper are divided among these authors. And while these two incentive systems aim to increase research output in Turkey, they also resulted in unintended consequences and unfortunately manipulation of these systems, because the systems are very open to manipulate. Zehra also give this idea and show some examples. Especially the academic incentive system, the second one offered by the Council of Higher Education, is very open to manipulate, unfortunately. For example, how the system is manipulated. There is a trend in Turkey to publish book chapters, primarily in autumn, and December is the peak month. In the last months of the year, you get lots of emails from the local book publishers. We don't know the names of these publishers. They are not prestigious in our country, but they label themselves as international academic publishers. This is really problematic. And unfortunately, many researchers publish book chapters to get an incentive for the next year. Researchers who cannot achieve the required minimum point, which is 30 points for academic incentive system for the following year, may choose, or they choose, to publish a quick book chapter. I say book chapter, but we don't think that these book chapters are academics, because this is a very easy way, and this is a very quick way to get that point and to get that money for the next 12 months. However, we all know that it is really important to note that the process of publishing a book, or the process of publishing a book chapter is not an easy job. I have a personal experience for a book chapter. Emmanuel was the author with him, and it took about a 2-year period of reviews, meetings, revisions to publish only a book chapter. But if you want to do this in Turkish or in English, you can publish a book chapter only in 15 days. This is really problematic. And as I said before, I don't think these book chapters as a scholarly output. I don't think these book chapters as academic book, because they don't have a process of review. You write and they publish. This is all. So this is very easy, and this is very quick. The academic incentive system increased the publication of book chapters dramatically in the country since the start of the system in 2016. We call this book and book chapter inflation that feeds by, unfortunately, the bad science. The focus of these systems are on quantity rather than quality in these both incentive systems has really give harm to the academy. Unfortunately, the emphasis is placed on obtaining maximum number of points, or obtaining the maximum money with minimum effort. This is the issue for many academics in Turkey, and unfortunately, this situation or this makes you a Mario instead of an academician, and the situation of seeking the least effort for maximum gain has resulted in a decline in overall quality of academic publications in Turkey, in our country. For instance, an article in a prestigious journal, for example, Nature, and a low quality local book chapter can receive the same number of points within the system of academic incentive system. So if you don't have a goal in academia, you choose the easiest way for the next step. And the problem is here is that your reason for being an academic, being in academia, is supporting scientific progress. But you are supporting only yourself, or you are supporting only your personal economy in this way. Because the system wants you only to produce, always produce, not produce the better one. And the consequences of this trend go beyond the individual incentives. The pressure to collect points or collect money and meet the least requirements of these incentive systems, mainly the second one, academic incentive system, has led many academics in Turkey to strategically plan the types of publications, timing of the publications, and the number of authors involved to maximize their score. This is not only distorts the research landscape, but also affects the collaborative nature of scientific production. The scientific collaboration where researchers come together to share their expertise may be overshadowed by the points to be collected and the incentives to be received. I have a personal example here, a funny one. A short time ago, I applied for the title of associate professorship to Higher Education Council. I really enjoyed to collaborate with colleagues and work together. And many of my publications are multi-authored. One of the reviewers, there were 7 reviewers, 5 of them reported about my academic career. And one of the reviewers' comments was like that. You cannot produce much by yourself. You collaborate a lot, and you collaborate a lot with the academics out of our country. And this means you are not sufficient enough to have this title. When I read this report, I said, poor me, I cannot do this. But I took the title ultimate. And as another consequence of these systems, the emphasis on quantity over quality has resulted in an increase in publications in natural journals that try to position themselves as international journals, as also Zehra said. While the number of publications may rise, it's important to recognize that this alone doesn't guarantee meaningful contribution to the scientific community or to the scientific progress in country or in the world. So policymakers should shift their focus from a purely quantitative approach to a more comprehensive evaluation of research quality and impact. The motivation behind these incentive systems are generally improving the university rankings, improving the universities, Turkish universities' position in these rankings, or enhancing the visibility with the research community. But however, this is not the way to do this. We see the results of these incentive systems by prioritizing the quality or significance of research outputs rather than focusing on the number of publications quantity. Policymakers may or can foster an environment that encourages contribution to science and so enhancing the visibility of the country or scholars from our country. To sum up, while these systems, incentive systems, I said about UBYT and academic incentive systems, aims to increase the research output of Turkey, they have unintended consequences associated with relying solely on indicators or quantitative measures and manipulation of these systems, inflation of certain publication types like book chapters. it is I think very important for policymakers to reconsider these systems, to revise these systems, and placing more emphasis on the quality or impact of research, and measure this quality and impact in a better way, and fostering a culture that values scientific progress or real contribution to science. And by addressing these challenges, we can ensure that academic incentives truly serve for the advancement of scientific progress, scientific knowledge. And I said a lot. This is all from my side for now. Thank you for listening. And if you have any question to Zehra or to me, we will be happy to answer. Thank you again.
Thank you, Güleda, and thank you, Zehra, for this very interesting and clear presentation showing the situation in Turkey. I have noted a lot of questions and comments to your presentation, but I would like to open the floor for all our guests. Please raise your hand by clicking the reactions and raising your hands. I will chair the discussion. I see one of the question in the chat to Zehra and Güleda. I will read it. Dear Zehra and Güleda, congratulations for your excellent presentation. What I am wondering is, at the end of the day, is it possible to improve the research and academic performance evaluation system and avoid trying to set criteria again without generalizing things? How can we do that without looking like the old antiquated system? I mean, how can we build a sustainable and efficient system without falling into the danger of generalizing things?
That is a great question. Yeah.
So how to save the world?
Because very good
question.
Very good. When I write something about we should change research evaluation system, everyone asks that how say us how can we change it? This is very good question. But at first, I had experience with juries, committees, with my PhD, with my assistant professor title, associate professor title and position for different juries, and no one check out my paper's quality or content, not quality, just content. What I add to the literature, what is my contribution to library and information science? No one asked me for that. They just wrote that you don't have any thesis supervision. This is bad. I cannot make any. I cannot supervise any thesis yet because I was in Poznan for 2 years. That was impossible for me to supervise a thesis in Turkey. Now I am supervising, and no one asked me why you don't supervise any thesis. This is not my wish not to supervise any thesis. Or maybe the first thing we should do is checking the paper's quality. I know that the committee members should have a level of scientific level for this. I know this, but to avoid generalizing things is considering the process, not the outputs, and also looking at the context of the scientific outputs. I think this is my answer, but I know this is not a good answer for this question. Güleda, do you have any answer for it?
And I always think that there's a solution for everything, but we are generally do not look for solution. We are looking for a quick answer. If you are looking for a quick answer of is Zehra successful? Can Zehra be an associate professor? you look the quartile of the journal she published. You look the points, you calculate the points, or you check the points that the system give for our publications. And the main problem here is that I am almost sure that no one, when we applied for associate professorship for any other titles, no one is interested about what you write. They're interested about where you publish, for which journal you write, with whom you write. They are interested about these, and they are checking these. If they read our publications, they will see something, and they will want to change something, but they don't check the content, as Zehra said. They check the points, they check the journals, they check in which quartile are those journals. So we can change, it's possible, but we should change our approach for checking the publications to change something.
Thank you, Zehra and Güleda. And Christian, and then Federico.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Zehra. Thank you, Güleda. It was a fantastic presentation. Every time I listen to a presentation about the evaluation system in other country that is dangerously similar to one that we have in Poland, I'm at the same time sad and happy. Happy because it's not that we have the worst system on the planet, and sad that simply laziness and stupidity is common among the academics who rule the systems all over the world. But starting from this, I simply wanted to ask you, because for some clarifications, because in some parts of your presentation you reflected upon the potential changing these indicators, changing the measures, because as I understood, you have this point-based system which is mixed. Like in some part it promotes the indicators-based publications, like publications from Web of Science and Scopus, but in some parts it accepts also valorizing the outputs published elsewhere. So we had quite different system. Like at the beginning, it simply was we in Poland, we had a system which was more or less the same, but it was not incentivizing through money directly the researchers' publications. But right now we have much more purer system based mostly on valorizing the outputs published in Web of Science and Scopus. Would you like to have such a system? Like would cutting off these obligations to publish in local journals, or this incentivizing publications of book chapters, would that be better system than the one that you have right now? This is what you are arguing for? Because what I think, and I will like tomorrow when we will have another seminar, you are all welcome to join our another seminar on rankings and whether it's wise to rank or not. I will try to argue for, like abandoning this system once and for all. And I think that in your comments you expressed the wish to go beyond the indicators-driven stupidity in assessing the researchers' work, and more focusing on the quality and the content and the context in which the individual researchers produced. So my questions are like for clarifications of this different moment. Maybe too much, sorry, but you made me think a lot, and I really loved your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christian. This is dangerous to say in Turkey, that don't use impact factor. Impact factor is not a good indicator. And then when they publish a paper in predatory journal, they point to me and say, she said that don't use impact factor. So I choose predatory journal. So this is very dangerous to say this. So I think we still need metrics or indicators, but we should use them as a tips for, because we all have evaluation committees for our tenure and incentive systems, but supporting multilingualism does not mean to publish low quality papers in national journals. In Turkey, researchers are obliged to publish at least 3 papers in national journals. Not all the subject categories, all the disciplines are national or local or regional. So one cannot publish papers in national journals, and it does not mean that they are bad researchers and others are good researchers. They love their countries and the others doesn't love. I don't have a correct answer for your question, because I don't have an ideal research evaluation system on my mind, because I know the problems of expert assessments and also indicator-based assessments. So my wish is to use both of them to evaluate researchers, maybe just measuring, not quality. I don't like using quality term, because quality is not the same term for everyone. I like using impact, scientific impact, or community impact. It is, we need to focus on impact and contribution to science. Maybe that might be a solution. Yeah.
And I may make a short addition. I'm not sure whether this is the issue for other countries, but here in Turkey, we have, I say this for all academics, we have the ability to manipulate each indicator. We work for this. We do not prefer to work for a better paper, for a better journal, but we always have the energy to find a way to manipulate the indicators. Generally,
this is called evaluation game. Yeah. Evaluation game is so common in Turkey. For example, we had a journal named Energy Education, Science and Technology in 2011. It was published in Turkey, and its impact factor was higher than Nature and Science that year because of the self-citation rates of the journal. Yeah, and many scholars get their tenures and incentives by using the publications published in this journal. This is Turkish journal, yeah.
Thank you. Federico.
Hi, so thank you, Zehra and Güleda, for your presentation. It was like very interesting, and it's very interesting to see this family resemblance between the systems in the different countries, because they are not the same, but they have like similar parts or similar ways of thinking about the problems that can be you can find them repeatedly in all the countries, but with all different national particularities and characteristics. So my question is, I have like 2 questions. One, when you describe this associate professor like title, not the position, on one hand, that made me think of the Italian and the Spanish like accreditation systems for professors. It has some similarities with that, but also like you said that you have this panel of 5 experts that analyze your application. So my question there is, does this difference in procedure, like having experts involved, change somehow the criteria? Do they analyze your trajectory in a different way, more nuanced way, or is it like the same like output-based analysis of your profile? Because sometimes when you have experts there, you expect them to do more in-depth review and not just like count beans, just make a more in-depth review. And my other more broad general question is how is it in the Turkish system with reputation and prestige? Because we maybe I think we are not here for the points. So we are not here. We are here because we think what we do has some value beyond all those rankings and points. It has to do with producing relevant knowledge and sharing that knowledge with other scholars, and there's something of value beyond the points. So how is it in your academic communities? Because maybe someone invests 2 years in a book chapters and other invests 15 days in a book chapter, as Güleda said, but there might be some hierarchy or some prestige or some reputational differences between those people. Well, how do you measure that? Is there like other like informal way or some other ways in which prestige and reputations are like managed or ascribed in your communities?
Thank you very much. I can answer the associate professorship title question easily. This process is like that. You should get 100 points to be applicable to the title. Then you can apply it, and the Higher Education Council define 5 and +2 jury members for your folder for portfolio. Then they evaluate your portfolio and decide. They write a report for your academic outputs. But without getting 100 points, you cannot apply for it. If you have enough points, most of the time the jury members give positive report, because there are some courts and problems with the academics and the jury members, and no one wants to get this problems with their academic life. So there is a peer evaluation panel, but it is not effective one in Turkey. The main point is the output-based, point-based application procedure. For the other question, I like your question, the second question, so much, because I don't like saying we are so bad researchers, we have a bad reputation and so on. Because when we say this, the editor of Higher Education Journal indicate that we don't publish any paper from Turkey because they are low quality researchers, because it creates some prestige problems for the researchers. I am a researcher working in Turkey, and I'm trying to do something in my field. Yes, there are bad researchers and so on, but the prestige is nothing like that, I think. And everyone in Turkey knows the book chapter inflation in December. Everyone in Turkey knows the authors of publications who publish their papers just to get their tenures and incentives. Everyone knows the ethical issues of the researchers, and we can identify them. We have an idea about them. And for the others, yes, we have some problems in the academic system, because we talk too much. We are trying to change something, but we have a prestige because we are trying to do something. So I don't like to say a thing like Turkish scholars are bad, just like that. We are good. We have very good researchers, very good research labs, and we are trying to improve our systems. But unfortunately, the policymakers and managers design the systems for the others, not for us. The problem is that maybe we should focus on changing this. This is my idea about this. Güleda, maybe you can add something on that.
I may have some additions, a short addition maybe. I will give an example again. For example, yes, just like Zehra said, they are very good academicians that work for scientific progress in Turkey. But these are a small group. I'm sure that these are a small group. And I will give an example. For example, if you want to have a title of associate professorship, but you cannot get your publication published or accepted to any journal, the solution some people find for this is establishing their own journal, publishing that journal, and take a title. We also have the things or see the things like this. But I generally agree with Zehra. Yes, there are people, there are academics that really contribute to science. But on the other side, there are other people with the same title with them that uses this type of manipulations.
Thank you both. Noela, please.
Hi, good morning for me. It's morning for you, probably evening. Oh, congratulations for the seminar. It was quite clear and interesting. More than question, I have some comments. And one of them is comparing your experience to the Brazilian one. I think that maybe the context can be different in certain ways, but comparable in others, particularly because we also have this large system of public universities. And well, what I have seen from the the beginning of the 2000s to now is that this chapter scheme to play with the system has been like it has ended mostly in Brazil. This is not to say that we do not receive these invitations to publish, etc., but there have been some reforms in the system that, of course, has to do with ranking books, which is a completely complicated solutions. For instance, when we have the evaluation of the graduate programs, we have a commission for interdisciplinary programs, which is a very large commission that I read the other day that they had to evaluate 3,500 books. How on earth can 20 people evaluate the content of this quantity of books? And what they do, indeed, is like ranking university publications, like editorials that most of the public universities have these editorial houses. So these are considered not cheating. Large commercial editorials, these are okay. Of course, foreign commercial editorials are okay. And then what happened with these chapters that are produced and paid, usually paid to be published, they are not ranking well. So the practice has been losing appeal for to many scholars. The other comments I wanted to make is about the national publications, because when the emphasis is given to international English publications, we usually complain and say, oh, national publications are important, are necessary, etc. And national is tricky. As you say, I mean, national as an obligation can be, you know, producing a second line of research outputs for just, you know, check the mark in the system. So this national has to be discussed, has to be something that we discuss as a policy in an evaluation system. And I do believe that national is very important. But I mean, each time we reform a little bit of these systems, the system gets more and more nonsense. I mean, this is really complicated. And the other point I wanted to comment is on young scholars. Really, it is very complicated for young scholars to compete to enter a system in this you know, we are producing about 40,000 doctors a year in Brazil. And the expansion of the university system has stopped during Bolsonaro's government and even before. So we had a lot of young scholars unemployed. We still have, and they are competing in such inhuman conditions, trying to, you know, to publish and publish, etc., to have a position. And this is really sad. And a few days ago, regarding a project that Federico, I, and others were working on, we got to know a person from Portugal called Ana Ferreira, which maybe it's a very good addition to this seminar series, because she is a young scholar in her 40s, that as many Portuguese and Spanish scholars are fighting for their careers because they are having very precarious careers. And she's kind of an activist on the matter, and this is a very important topic. And the last point I wanted to make is, and what about our research agendas? What about, I mean, the main point, what science are we producing? And I think that if we are going to turn into something more propositive regarding the change of the evaluation system, we have to really pay attention to or doing more research on the effects of all this nonsense on the research agendas. What kind of science are we producing? I mean, I don't believe this is getting us to a better place in terms of the science we are producing. Of course, we have many researchers that are doing good research, but we have many researchers that are just playing with the system, and they are having just, you know, a good number in their results and nothing in terms of the knowledge we need. So there are more comments than questions, but thank you very much. It raises a lot of questions in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nurhan.
Yeah.
Zehra, Güleda.
I don't have anything to say on it because they are all truths, and I like the way she said. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, you are very right, and it makes us feel better to see that there are same examples, same stories in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, you have your hand
Okay,
raised,
I will not keep you, you know, occupied. I think it was a great seminar. I would like to thank not only Güleda and Zehra, but also Noela. I think this conversation needs to start because the last question that Noela raised, what kind of science do we produce being under this pressure, evaluative pressure here in the peripheral countries? Because I would say the pressure is different. It tastes differently in the center. Like they have substantially less nonsense in terms of pushing people to publish. They are like within their own infrastructure, within their own journals and outlets, and they simply produce science. And we join. But in order to join, we find also being steered by this stupid indicators sometimes, like produced like in a corrupted way. We are steered to some strange corners of doing science. And these effects are of nearly non-interest to central countries, and they are like the most important questions for us. Like, how do we save our science systems of not being like mindlessly steered by us to meet this quantitative criteria that nobody cares about in the center? Like it us who thinks that when we quantify our outputs, we can simply produce more of relevant things. And doing that, we usually stop doing science. And yeah, I'm really thankful for all of you who participate in this conversation. I always learn a great deal of things from. So thank you, Federica, as well for your comments. And yeah, I look forward to further seminars. This is an important conversation.
Thank you, Christian. Zehra Güleda, we all know that metrics can harm science and our work, but when I was listening about the Turkish situation, I would say that to some extent it was the previous situation in Poland. I wanted to say that what you have now is the thing of the past in Poland. We change slightly the system. So I want to say that it's quite optimistic that it is possible to change something. Not everything. In Poland, we also struggle with a lot of strange things. But for example, we had the situation of establishing own journals to publish own papers to get the position of the title. It's not anymore. We also have a situation in which the country pushed researchers to publish a lot of book chapters or books, monographs. One professor for our own university published in a 4-year period over 50 monographs. 50 monographs. So the system now is changed. It has a lot of problems, but there is no such pressure on the quantity. Unfortunately, there is also no pressure for quality, but something might be changed. The biggest issue for me in the long period is the consequence of this pressure, that is the flexibility of our own community. When we are under pressure for many, many years, we are very flexible in changing our behaviors. And I think that one of the biggest challenge is to have a very strong ethos of science, some kind of moral values as researchers. And this is exactly what Federico mentioned in the chat between the tension between the evaluation game and the prestige game. Sometimes we struggle with fulfill the metrics-based expectations, but at the same time, if we are a good scholars, we struggle with meet expectations of our own discipline, of our own field. And it is exactly between prestige and fulfilling evaluation expectations. So I think that, of course, we cannot think about, at this moment, about Turkish system without metrics, but I think that in a short period, there might be better metrics for Turkish community, for Turkish system. But at the end, in the long period, firstly, we have to use metrics only as a supportive tool. And we also have to fight with commercial big publishers, because we will not change the use of metrics without controlling the means of scholarly communication, journals, publisher, and so on. When I say we, I'm not saying to Polish scholars, I'm saying to community in our own countries. Thank you, Zehra and Güleda.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for your comments. We hope the same for Turkey for the future.
We are inviting you all to our tomorrow's seminar. for celebrating Dora's 10th year. We are discussing with Emmanuel, Christian, and Güleda for ranking systems tomorrow at 1.
2
For you, 2 for us.
Let me
2 p.m.
send the link.
Yeah, please. we are inviting you all to our tomorrow's seminar.
It is 1 hour later than this seminar. 1 hour
1 hour
sooner.
earlier. It's
Yeah.
the event organized within the structure of DORA 10th anniversary, Declaration of Research Assessment. And tomorrow, yes, we will talk about also, I hope, interesting issues. Kristen, are you able to send out?
I'm trying
don't
to
hear you?
copy the link. Yeah, I'm on it. Sorry. Yeah, wait a while. Like for some reason, my university network is not really working. Yeah, okay. Wait a while. Yeah, I have a link. And it's in the chat now. Hop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christian.
Thank you so much for today's seminar, and hopefully see you soon.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.